Well, first of all, we'd like to welcome everybody back to the Thursday night shiur. It seems that every week we come here, we're discussing a different storm. So this week again, it's quite unbelievable that the shiur goes on. And here we are, middle of another winter storm. And we're here, but we're going to deviate a little bit this week from the norm, which is speaking on the Parshas Shavua, being that we're holding 2 days before Purim now, Shabbos Parshas Tezaveh-Purim. We're going to discuss a little bit, just a little bit about Purim, a couple of different interesting things. The biggest shame would be, actually, for the yontif of Purim to go by and a person not to get any real inspiration, or not to learn anything, or not to actually gain anything from the yontif of Purim. That would be the biggest shame. And I actually had somebody over at my house this week, and he told me over a beautiful, beautiful verse from Rav Wolfson, Mashiach, in Shiur Parshas Tezaveh-Purim. And he said as follows, and I'll start it off this way. The Mishnah Megillah, the beginning of the second parak, I believe, Mishnah Megillah says, HaKoretz HaMegillah L'Mafreya. Somebody lanes the Megillah L'Mafreya, which means he lanes the end part before the beginning part. Lo Yotza. You're not Yotza. You can't switch around the order of the Megillah. The Wolfson says as follows. If you're looking through the Megillah, and suppose you weren't as educated as you are, and you're hearing the story of the Megillah for the first time, and you start off the Megillah and you begin by reading, first you say the story of Vashti. So, okay, nice story, but what does it have to do with me? Right? What is the story of Vashti? We didn't have any problems from Vashti. I mean, there were problems, but we didn't, well, what is Vashti? Then we come to Big Son and Seresh, and Big Son and Seresh, so it's a very nice thing that Mordechai understood what they were saying, and he reported them. Later on, a great thing came out of Big Son and Seresh, but from the story itself, when we read it in the Megillah, Big Son and Seresh, if you didn't know what was happening at the end, it would just be another story, and you wouldn't have really anything, we wouldn't know what we gained from it. Of course, when we get to the end of the Megillah, so all these things start to make sense to us. Now we understand why Vashti had to happen, and Esther had to become the queen, and we understand now why Big Son and Seresh had to be plotting against Achashverosh, and Mordechai had to hear them, and Haman had to later on take Mordechai out on the horse and walk him around the whole city. Everything makes sense to us. Rav Wolfson says as follows. If a person goes through life and he doesn't understand things along the way, that's the way life is. Many times we don't understand things as they're happening. Things happen to us, things happen to people around us, things happen in Klal Yisrael. We don't understand them. But later on, sometimes, either we get a better picture, or we don't. But Rav Wolfson says, a person came to HaKoretz HaMegillah L'Mafreya. If you read the Megillah with the understanding, saying that that the only time it makes sense is when everything works out well at the end, then Lo Yotza. You're missing the point. The point is that anything that happens in life, even if we don't understand it, and if we look at things that happen to us on a daily basis sometimes, face value, it makes absolutely no sense. But a person has to go through his life saying, no, everything, even if I don't understand it, everything that HaKadosh Baruch Hu does, everything that is done is straight from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and everything is also for the best. So HaKoretz HaMegillah L'Mafreya, if your whole story of the Megillah is backwards, where at the beginning I don't understand anything, and it makes no sense, why did this have to happen, why did that happen? But only at the end, now I understand why that all happened. Lo Yotza. You're missing the point of the Megillah. The point that one of the biggest points that we have to take with us on Purim is to learn of Hashgacha Pratis, that everything that happened to the Yidden before they were saved, and everything that happens to us in history is also from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and it's always for our best. So that's HaKoretz HaMegillah L'Mafreya. If you're laying it out of order, if you don't have the right order in B'tachon and in understanding Hashgacha of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Lo Yotza. You're missing the boat. That's just a nice verse that I heard this week. We say at the end of the Megillah that, okay, now we can go on. Now, once we understand that everything is Hashgacha Pratis, everything, we got past the name, and we get past to the end, and it says that Mordechai and Esther, they wrote down the entire Megillah for posterity, that it should be read on the 14th, on the 15th, and when some cities are here and there, and it says what was the thing they sent out Igeres, it said Divrei Shalom Ve'emet, that they had words of Shalom, peace, Emet, and truth. So Ramat Zion Shlita asked a beautiful shaila. I was at his Vad one morning this week. It was Baruch Hashem. I appreciate it. I'm blessed to go through all the time. But Ramat Zion asked a beautiful question. What's Divrei Shalom Ve'emet? What comes out of the Megillah? Many different things come out of it. But what did they send? Divrei Shalom, words of peace and Emet. He said a beautiful word. Purim is the only yontif that, if you take a look, it's actually brought down in halacha that different people do different things, and in other words, there are people who lay the Megillah on the 14th, and there are people who lay the Megillah on the 15th. And all the mitzvahs for him, there are people in the world that do it on the 14th and on the 15th. And if you look at the Gemara and the Mishnah says there are those in the truck, the people that used to go to the market days to the cities, there are those who lay the Megillah on the 11th, the 12th, the 13th, the 14th, the 15th. And you don't see there are no riots, there are no demonstrations, there are no hafganot. Nobody has a problem with somebody in Yerushalayim laying the Megillah on the 15th. So Ramat Zion says, this is teaching us a very important lesson. It's teaching us Shalom and Emet. First of all, that not everybody has to be doing the same thing, and not everyone has the same Masorah, and not everyone comes from the same place. You have to appreciate. And besides, you don't always have to understand, but you have to appreciate and value every other person and what his minhag is and what he's doing. And this is the first time Purim, it's in halacha. You see, everybody's doing different things and everybody's happy. But why are they happy? Why is there shalom? Because there's emes. Because each person understands that the other person is being vakish to emes. He's trying to do the truth from where he comes from, his minhag, and he's doing everything in his power to do his minhag. So that's divrei shalom ve'emet. We had a respect for each other, and that was one of the important lessons that we learned out of Purim. Shalom, peace, but why was there shalom? Because every person, you didn't start wondering what's the other person doing, look down at the other person. You assumed and you knew that he's trying to be vakish to emes. He's doing it according to his minhag, according to where he comes from. And I could be doing something that you're not, and you could be something, we could each be doing something different, but that's our minhag, that's what we're doing. And that's one of the very important lessons of shalom that we take out of Purim, that we give Mishlas Monas to people who are your friends, and sometimes to people even more who are not so much your friends. And by the end of Purim, when sometimes you don't remember who your friends are, but that has nothing. But the bottom line is, it's all one big happy family at the end, because that's one of the lessons we learned, shalom ve'emet, that each of us appreciate the other. So I was thinking, how does a person come to this? How does a person come to this? It's an unbelievably big madrega to try to appreciate everybody, or to try to live your life with hashgacha, like Rav Wolfson said on the first part that we said. It's a very, very tough thing to do. How does a person come to this? So the Yitzchak, that as those of you that have learned from Shiur Shalom with us on Thursday night, and those of you who have come to the Shabbos Shir, and from the Shiur Shalom has the Yitzchak that he always goes with, that it's not your job to think about how you're going to finish the project. That's not your job, because many times it's almost impossible. You could think to yourself, how am I going to get over this mountain? How am I going to change so much? How am I going to be makabel so much? How am I going to do so much in such a short period of time? So the Shiur Shalom says that our job is to start. Have it in your heart that you want to do. That's why you see the beginning of Parshas Tezaveh this week. What does it say? Who is in charge? Who was made to build the Mishkan? We can find the Parsha. It says Chochmas Leiv. It doesn't say someone that was necessarily brilliant. It doesn't say, the main thing is that a person has to have a chokhmas leiv. He has to want it in his heart. If you want, and the Shiur Shalom says there's a certain siyata shmaya and a habtacha from a Kadosh Baruch Hu, that if you start and you open the door just a crack, that Kadosh Baruch Hu will come and Kaviyach will kick the doors in. He'll give you siyata d'shmaya, and you'll be able to accomplish all these things. And we should all be zeicha to come away from Purim with more than we go into Purim, and not just more alcohol, to go into to come out of Purim with an appreciation for what we're supposed to gain from Purim, to understand that everything is hashgacha. Shabbos.